Hello, hello, everyone. Patriot5 here. I see no one's on yet, but we'll go ahead and get ready. We'll do the pledge and we'll do the music, and then we'll get right back and we'll get into the show. Happy Monday, everyone. It looks like we got someone coming on. Can't tell who it is yet. I got something blocking here. Okay, good to see you, Janet. Good to see you, Papa G. Let's get on with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If tomorrow all the things were gone that worked for all my life, and I had to start again, just my children and my wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, where the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, when at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, oh, from sea to shining sea. From Detroit down to Houston, New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, oh, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'd rather stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt about this. God bless the USA. Defend her still today.
We'll do one tomorrow. We'll be on that clock all day long. What's that? Yep. God bless the USA. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit behind as we have Bill Woods and Janet and Jeffrey and Robert, Anna, Jeremy, Ian. Did I say your name, Robert? If not, I am now. Guys, thanks for coming on tonight. And before I go any further, if there's any veterans on here tonight, since I won't be talking to you tomorrow, I want to take a moment to wish each and every veteran happy Veterans Day. And you have to be careful how you say happy Veterans Day. You have to be careful how you say things, because I'm going to get into a story about Veterans Day and patriots and this and that very soon. But I want to talk to the kids first. And I was just talking to Ron about little Jimmy. Super Jimmy, he posted on our site today in a little bitty pair of pajamas, little kitty pajamas, and they were cute. And him and John had a moment there. And, John's not on yet. Maria is, and good to see you. Hi, Maria. Good to see you, and I hope you and your family's doing good. But Patriot 11, he has not been around, and I'm thinking we probably won't hear from him till early spring when he gets out of school. But, kids, I'm going to tell you, you kids have it made. You have it made. In our school district today, they canceled school because it snowed. We got about an inch to maybe inch and a half of snow. We used to go to school when I was in grade school. When Ron was in grade school, we used to go to school with 8 to 10, 12 inches.
Was wind blowing?
The snow plows would literally take the plows and plow so we could get from one town to another to get to the schools. The bus would follow them. My mom, when she was a kid, she would walk across a field that might be 4 and 5 feet of snow in it. And now they said last night it was supposed to snow. It did snow. It was cold. But I guess us, when we were kids, there was no such thing as safety for the kids. We were tough. You know why we were tough, kids? Because we wasn't on a cell phone, we wasn't on a tablet, we wasn't on a computer, or we wasn't watching TV all day long. And I'm not saying all you kids do. And I love each and every one of you. Now, my daughter, who's a teacher at another school district, they got school canceled, but at least they got 4.5 to 5 inches of snow. And, my daughter took the opportunity today. And, this is something that we did. If we ever did get a snow day, my mom always cooked homemade donuts from scratch. She would always make the homemade donuts right there in the house. We always had hot chocolate. Well, yesterday, my daughter always has a little bit of a turkey dinner before Thanksgiving to prepare themselves for turkey dinner. And I'm going to talk about her and my grandkids in a few minutes, but I want to cover Patriot, Super Jimmy, Patriot 11, Patriot Wyatt Earp and Karate Kid. Also want to talk about Patriot Princess Our Queen and Patriot Hunter. Them are Jana's grandkids, two amazing young kids. And as cute as the princess is, our little queen, Hunter, she looks like Hunter. Only thing is a girl. So she's a little more appealing, But anyway, it is what it is. And, Patriot Little Leona and Patriot Leilani. I was talking to Patriot Leilani's grandmother today, and I said, I really miss you being here because I used to like getting pictures so I could share them with my group. And she said, well, I'll make that happen. She won't. She moved to Florida. Not me. I won't say Illinois is a good state, but I love it. And I'm not letting no fat man run me out. But anyway, we have Patriot Little Leona, who just getting as cute. Mike shared a picture of me the other day with her and her playhouse, and he says, does this look like a playhouse to you? And I thought, you know what? She thinks it is. That's her. It doesn't matter, Mike, what we think. It's what Little Leona thinks. And she was having a black man. She is just a remarkable kid. And then there's Patriot Bugs, Boogaloo, Boogaroo, and Boogie, who is John's grandkids. And I'm telling you, them kids are as sweet can be. And, John is so proud of them. He loves them so much. And then, then I'm going to get into Patriot Super Gymnast, Patriot 7, and Patriot Little Monkey. And as I said, they were in the Clifton School District. They didn't have school today because they actually had enough snow, truthfully, that they could have got nasty out there. Us in the Herscher School District with Patriot Small Hank and then little Kira, Patriot Kira, them kids, they need to have their butts at school. But that being said, we're just in a situation where everything is good, but we had traditions. When we was off on school days, we always went out and played in the snow. We built snowmen, we played in the snow. And my daughter today, she continues the traditions. As I told you, my mom always made us homemade donuts and hot chocolate. And my daughter, who I think my daughter's even more so than me, I think my daughter's favorite person in the whole wide world was my mom. And crushing day, the day that we lost her, and I'm going to talk about that during the show because I finally faced a fear yesterday after losing my mom. But you know, here is what my daughter and my grandkids decided to do today. See, that's what snow days is about. Patriot Hank and Patriot Kira. Kira watched TV until her mom took her and they took off someplace. Small Hank was on his tablet until his dad got him. These guys got out and played, and then they was rewarded by going in and helping their mommy make homemade donuts like my mom, my daughter's grandmother, taught her how to do. My mom also taught my daughter how to make homemade noodles for supper tonight. Me and my brother Ron, Patriots6 over there. We had homemade noodles that my mom taught my daughter how to make. And a story about that goes back to when she was in the 6th grade. And they had to bring a dish in from home to share with the whole 6th grade class. And my mom had this pan, and I got it. Me and Ron got it. But I don't know if mom's noodles was always that good, or if it was the fact that she used that pan because it's magic. I can even make good homemade noodles with that pan. But anyway,
What you'll be making in a couple of weeks.
my daughter, she made the homemade noodles, and she took that whole pan full. And we said, well, we'll have noodles for supper tonight. No, the kids over there, they couldn't get enough. They asked her, can you bring a pan like this in once a week? Or they're just amazing. But today they got to help mommy make donuts, make the hot chocolate. She gets them involved in everything. They don't worry. Yes, they do get on tablets. Yes, they do get on the computer and the TV. But if you see Patriot7, if the weather's halfway decent at all, he's either out throwing a ball up in the air, catching it with his ball glove, or he's practicing his kicking because he was the kicker on his Super Bowl champion team. And they had so much fun. The other day they got to celebrate their championship. They had a team party and they invited all the little cheerleaders. It may have cost Patriot7 his girlfriend because there was 2 little cheerleaders a year younger than Patriot7 that kept flirting with him the whole party. And I guess his girlfriend found out and broke up with him last Saturday night. And his saying was, that's okay, Mom. We're young. We can still got time to get back together in high school. You know, I was talking to Ron and I said, my first real girlfriend was when I was in the 4th grade, 10 years old. And I liked her, and then other guys started to like her. So she started liking other guys. And then the other guys would start liking someone else. And she'd come back to me. I bet you we was a couple 20 times. And her mother just loved me. Probably the only mom that's ever cared for me. But kids, if you like a girl, boys, if you like a girl, make sure you get in good with her mother. Because, boy, if you don't, it can be real rough sledding. But anyway, I wanted to share that story about my grandkids because we're keeping a tradition going. And I've pretty much talked about all the kids, and that does conclude tonight's version of the kids. But I told you I had another story that I wanted to talk to you about, and now I don't remember what it was. Oh, feast facing fear. But kids, that does remember this video is not made for you, but you can watch it under the I One Voice. Hi, John. Good to see you. John, your ears must have been ringing. I've been talking. Hi, Ann. I've been talking about you. Hi, Vicky. Been talking about you a lot. But anyway, you can watch it under the discretion of your parents, grandparents, or legal guardians. The music that we played tonight is for entertainment purposes only. We have no legal rights to it. And I'm going to share a little video later tonight because one of my dear friends in this group shared it with me. And I'll give you if I tell you a little bit about it, you're going to know what it is. And I want to surprise you with it. But anyway, I faced a fear. In 2002, my day started out. My mom had gotten out of the hospital with a 100% bill of health, and she had been home a couple of days. She was doing good. Her only trouble is they wanted her to use oxygen. And my mom couldn't get it out of her head that using the oxygen was not like being hooked up to a life-supporting system. And me and her had an argument that day, and she says, I'm not going to use it. And I said, okay, then I'm going to quit using my CPAP machine at night. She said, no, you could die of a heart attack. The blood won't go to the back of your brain. It won't flow right. You got to use that. And I said, why? I don't want to live with a machine either. And it hit her, and she said, okay, I'll use it. When I got up to mow her grass that morning, because she had to have her lawn mowed, and she had been in the hospital for a while, so being home a couple of days, I finally got a chance. I got up at 8 o'clock in the morning to go mow her yard. It was pouring rain. You couldn't see across the street. But it was supposed to clear up. So I went back to bed. I closed my eyes, and I went to sleep for a while. After I went to sleep, I woke up around 10. It was beautiful out, 90 degrees. Got my push mower, took it down there and mowed their 3.5 lots of grass. Finished, come in, got something cold to drink. Ron made me and Mom and him hot dogs for lunch, and it's a great day. My mom started to get a little tired after a while, and I said, Mom, I'm going to make supper tonight. I'm going to make beef stew for supper, homemade beef stew. She said, oh, that sounds so good. I was just taking the beef stew off of the table, off of the stove, to let it sit for a minute so the pan would cool off a little bit so we could jump in my truck, my 2 kids, my ex-wife, and come down to Ron's and Mom's for supper. My phone rang. I answered it. Yeah, this was back when we just had rotary phone. I answered it, and my heart went down in my stomach. Ron was at the other end saying, Mom's fallen, and I can't help her get up. And I mean, there's a commercial, I've fallen and I can't get up. But that wasn't the funny commercial. That was real life. I said, I'll be down there as fast as I can. I took off running. Thank goodness I had taken the stew off of the stove and shut the stove off. I took off running. I jumped in my truck. My 2 kids jumped in the back. My ex-wife jumped in a passenger seat. And I was down there in less than 2 minutes, which normally it would take 3 to 3.5 minutes on a normal day to get in a vehicle, drive down there and that, but I was down there in less than 2 minutes. Ron met me at the door and said, I can't get her to respond. I got in and I knew right away my mom was gone. Saddest day in my life. My ex-wife worked on her because she was a lifeguard and knew CPR. To no avail, they got there and they shocked her once, they shocked her twice. And this is a big woman jumping up off the floor about that much. And it was nothing happening. Went to do it a 3rd time. And I said, no, she doesn't want to live with machines. Let her go. She's happy. But I faced a fear because I never ate. I never ate any of that stew. I think we threw everything out. I've ate stew out of the can since then. But since 2002, I'd never made homemade stew. I made it for me and Ron yesterday. I faced a fear, and then I find out my daughter made my mom's noodles, and it was almost like we was on the same page. And guys, I tell this story because it means a lot to me, and I'm sure people in this group have faced things like that. You know, if you remember the other night, Friday night, when I was doing my show, we had a special lady on here named Cindy. She's on a lot. I don't see her yet tonight, but Cindy had went on and asked for prayer last Friday in our group. She asked for prayer because she says, because I got a kidney. And I know she meant to say I got a kidney infection, but she didn't. She said, I got a kidney. And I answered her back in the thing, and I said, well, hell, Cindy, I got 2 kidneys, so I trump you. And I just made a big joke about it last Friday night. After the show was over, I think Cindy sent me 5 or 6 messages. We chatted for a little bit because she said she really needed something to pick up her spirits. And she said she was laughing so hard, she was crying. So see, guys, there's times to joke and there's time to be serious. And if when Cindy was on, because I wouldn't tell the story until I seen her come on. If I'd have seen her say, I don't think it's very funny. Why is he making fun of me? I would have stopped, I would have apologized, and I would have begged for forgiveness. But being a good sport, she understood what I was doing. And that's what we got to keep doing. Now, before I go into the show, I want to tell you one more story about our life. Ron and myself, my brother Russ, we worked about 85 years together at a factory. The factory closed in 2002. I made a mistake. I made the noodles in 2001. The factory closed in 2002, and we were family there. We were family at that factory, just like we're family here. But Keith O'Malley, one of our family friends, he rented a room in Beef O'Brady's, I think it was, yes. He rented a room there, and it would hold 45, 50 people, maybe more. And we was going to have a luncheon there. And we had about 50 people show up. It didn't matter the color of your skin. It didn't matter if you was a man or a woman. We had people there. The oldest person that was there that we know of was the only foreman that showed up from the time we were there, and that was Ralph Bailey, who may be, not Ralph Bailey, that was Zeke Archie, and he may be the only foreman that's still living from that time. But we had a blast, but I was wearing my Make America Great hat. It had nothing to say on the side or anything 45, 47. It had nothing to say about the hat. It was just a hat that I wear. One of these that's got these little sparklies on the top, and it's a hat that I really love. And I went to this one table, and there was 2 black gentlemen sitting there that during the time we was at the factory, one of them worked the same department that I worked. I was great friends with his mom and dad. A lot of family members worked at that glass factory. I was great friends, went over to their house. And this guy, a lot of times, since the job that me and him were doing, me on days, him on afternoons, we worked 12-hour shifts. But the job that me and him was doing, I was actually the guy who created the job and had super seniority. I could always have that job as long as I wanted, because what I created to make the job even better, it saved the company millions of dollars. And instead of giving me a little in a hand, they just decided to give me the job, which was fine with me. I would have half his rate made. Sometimes he'd come in. I say, hey, Titus, I got 6 hours of your 12 hours made already. I'd take him, show him where the plates were. He could put his name tag on them, and we were ready to go. The other one was family friends with him. His brother, who died of cancer, I give a ride home one day and actually act as his attorney when he missed a jury duty summons. So they was going to fine him. And I said to the judge, how can you fine somebody who's in getting a blood transfusion because he has cancer? The judge said, okay, take him home now, Mr. Anderson. So I was in there defending myself too, because I never received the letter, but I got him off. The next guy comes up and says, can I have him defend me? The judge says, no, you owe $50. You're automatically guilty. I don't even want to hear your excuse. But anyway, when I took him home, I don't drink coffee, but I sat at the table with his mom after we got him in bed. And I sat there and I drank black coffee. If I do drink coffee, it's got to be sweetened with cream. I don't like coffee. But I sat there and drank black coffee, not one, but 2 cups with his mom, and we discussed things. And these 2 gentlemen that I'm talking about at this get together the other day, everybody was in great mood, but I was wearing a Make America Great hat again. And they looked at me and says, when has America ever been great? And I said, wow, I can understand you go to other countries, but until we find out what's really going on, I thought America's always been great. And even though it's going now, we're still the greatest country ever. There's no country out there, even what we're going through with all of the Democrats and all of the people who's trying to take us down. We're still the greatest country in the world, but we want to make it the greatest country in the world over and over where there is no question. And I tell them this. They started cutting down our president. I said, does anything on his hat say? They had the guts to tell me, you don't understand because you're white. Raised in a poor family on the south side where there was only 4 white families in the whole neighborhood. And I'm talking a 10-block radius. And then we moved to Buckingham. But I don't understand. And I says, well, please tell me what I don't understand. Where blacks don't get and whites do. Because I said, there's 12 months in a year, correct? And they said, yes, sir. And I said, well, 12 months in a year, I don't see no White History Month. But there's a Black History Month. And I looked at the other guy and I said, Ike, you is particular. You're going to make that statement. He says, prove me wrong. I said, let's go back to about 8 months, maybe a year after they closed the factory down. Let's go back to Bradley High School in Bradley, Illinois. I was delivering papers to Bradley High School, and there was a gentleman there. There was the janitor. He was in charge of all of the janitors there. His name was Mike Warby. You remember Mike? He said, yes, I do. I said, Mike Warby. I looked at him one day and I said, Mike, what do they pay here? And he told me, I says, will you hire me? I'll quit the Journal right now if you'll hire me. Which I wouldn't have had to because I could have worked the Journal and that job because that job didn't start till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was cleaning. It was janitor work. And he said, come in for an interview. So I sat in an interview with the person who's in charge of everything and the guy who does the hiring, Mike Warby. And they said, Mr. Anderson, you got the job. It's yours. But we have to conduct a couple more interviews because we promised them. But they're just going to be, we'll get back with you interviews. One of the interviews was with Ike O'Neill. And he came in and he was the last one. He says, Ike, you're qualified. We like you, but we've made our decision. We're going to go with another gentleman. Ike O'Neill looked and said, I bet he's white. And he said, by the way, he is. And they looked, and Mike Warby looked and says, and Ike, you know him. You worked with him at G&B. He's Ralph Anderson. And he says, well, Ike says, well, I'm going to tell you now. If you hire him and don't hire me, you have no black janitors here. I will sue this school district. But yet I'm the one that was born white, and I get all the privileges. No month to celebrate. There's nothing. There's no laws out there that say, hi, Cindy. There's no laws out there say you have to hire a white man. As I tried to get a job, a better job than the Journal, I was turned down because they had to hire a woman. Oh, by the way, it was a black woman they hired. So don't look at me and tell me that I'm a racist. I mean, and then the whole thing is, the people that was sitting at their table, which 5 or 6 black people, all of them great friends. And I thought I was great friends with these two. But all of them are sitting there, and they got up and left their table. They come up and apologized to me. And I said, hey, people's going to be people. And they said, but you handle it so well. You put them in their place. I said, I didn't mean to put them in their place. I just showed them I could care less. I could care less what anybody's color of their skin is. I could care less of anything. You know, we lost an amazing woman from our group because a doctor didn't like her nationality. And we lost this beautiful woman who we found out also was 4 months pregnant with a little girl. We lost this because of ignorance, and that's what ignorance is. And I even made the statement, if Dr. Martin Luther King was still alive, or if he is still alive, maybe he'll see his dream come true. But as long as people like Sleepy and Dopey and Obi and the guy who likes the girl under the desk and the Beans Company people, as long as people like that run our country, we'll never have nothing. But you get a guy like that Hat, who's the only president since John Fitzgerald Kennedy, you can actually say, maybe Richard Nixon, you can actually say, or Nixon, or was it the other guy, the actor? What was the president of the actor, Ronnie? Ronald Reagan. You know, people like that, they cared about the country. You have a president that is in his 3rd term and has never taken a penny. Never taken a penny. They're building a wing because they're covering up what these other idiots did. And he's paying for it with either money he raised from friends or out of his pocket. But people don't want to like him. They call him a racist. And I said to these two people when they called him that, I said, if he is, and your people, the black people, which I don't justify black and white, I justify United States of American citizens. But if he is, why did so many millions of black people vote for him? Why did he cover a lot of the black neighborhoods in states? Because, see, real people who are Americans and don't care about the color of someone's skin, they see the truth. And truth and justice, just like Batman said, in the American way. I know I've ranted and raved, guys, but it's something I really needed to talk to about. The party was great. We had an amazing time. And then, feeling really good, I was walking about midnight that night because I always stay up till midnight and I walk for an hour to get a lot of my walking out of the way. Because if I don't, I have a true patriot friend, Linda. We're calling her Dr. Linda now. She reminds me every day to take my medicines. But I'm walking, and all of a sudden, my son, who had been upstairs in bed for a couple of hours, he comes downstairs and he's holding his cell phone like this. I said, what's up? He goes, I want you to read something. And he hands me his cell phone, and it reads, Larry Bertrand, 78, passed away. And they give the date. Larry was a worker at Gould Battery, GNB Battery, Pacific Dunlap. We had several different names. We was there so long. He was an avid bowler and fisher. He was a great friend. Larry was like a brother to us. 50 people at a reunion that day, and Larry wasn't there. We asked about him because we thought for sure he'd be there. Nobody knew. And he had passed away 3 days ago. But it's a lingering hurt that doesn't go away. And I remember that night after I read that, and I finished walking, I remember talking to God, and I said, God, that's another good person that lost their lives because we're taking a nap instead of bringing them beds out. And we're going to talk about them beds. But I talked last Friday night how many people in this group have lost loved ones. Hi, Susie Q. How many people in this group and other groups have lost loved ones because they won't release these beds? So where are we at? Today I spent a couple of hours putting together my projects, shortening them up so when I go there, I can hand the people each what all of the projects I'm looking at, and I will have pretty much memorized and show them in 3 to 5 minutes every project. I figure the way I have everything set up, what I'm going to do, someone said, they say we have to create so many jobs. Well, we may create more, but you can't, what I'm trying to explain to people, you can't go in and say, well, this project is going to create 1,000 jobs, because you don't know, it might create 2,000, and you have to show them what it benefits. Well, I got all that done. I also went through my currency and I said, whoa, now I could have just taken what I had printed there in the currency, colored it out, whited it out, and wrote in over it. But I thought, no, I'll go ahead. My daughter will be running me copies of all this tomorrow so I can get everything put back together. In the talking, and one of the things I will be emphasizing is the fact that in our group, there's people who do not have projects, but they want to be involved with ours. I am in the process right now. One of the projects is for the children, for the orphanages. And I am talking to a young lady in Russia and then Julia in Ukraine about them working with us and getting people over there lined up to work with us so we can achieve and getting all these kids homes, parents, as I said, mom and dad, dad and mom, dad, I don't care. Dad and dad, mom and mom, I don't care. Someone that will love them, but then more jobs come in like that, because if they do adopt them, there will be people allowed to come every now and then just to check to make sure these kids are being treated right. I want to wipe out the days. Where all of these kids, they go into this foster home. Some of these people that could care less about these kids being in foster homes. All they want is the cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Before I go on with the show, have you guys been watching the videos? Have you been watching on TikTok or YouTube or other places the videos? And in the videos, they talk about. I seen a lady the other day. I've got 6 kids, and they took me from $4,400 a month. 6 kids, $4,400 a month, down to $300 a month. Get a job. Close your legs. Sew it up. I don't care. When people's making $4,400 a month, and me and Ron together working 80 years together, and all we get on Social Security is not even but a little over half of that $4,400. Actually, about 2/3 is what we make together. Are you bleeping kidding me? And they really and truthfully believe. Then you have this new mayor in a city I used to think was great. Second to Chicago. But now I don't think either one of them is great, because it's the people who are running. I didn't think that anybody could get any worse mayor than the city of Chicago has right now. And by goodness gracious, New York City proved that they could. They proved that they could get. And this guy, once he was elected, he come out and told the people, I lied to you about all my promises. The hat hits it right. When he says something about commie. And you know what I'm talking about, but I can't say it. And he is. So, where we're standing right now, here's someone that says the hat is a betrayal to her family. She's standing with her arm around Jimmy Kimmel, so you know how much to take that as a grain of salt. So I got to find what I need here. We've talked about sports events a lot here. Football games, baseball games, basketball games, hockey. I'm a very avid sports fan, as you can see. I'm still daunting my Bears jersey, which they pulled out a miraculous win yesterday. It may have been rigged. Anymore, who knows? But it made me and Ron happy enough to have a beer. But you know, at a lot of sports events, what do they have? Or at funerals, what do they have? They have flyovers. Well, here's a video of the greatest flyover ever. Yes, the man who runs the White House, the man who runs our country, the man who's going to give us our freedoms back and make us happy. That was his flyover to the Washington. I don't care. They want to call them Washington, whatever. The Washington Redskins football game yesterday. Didn't help Washington any. They got a lot of injuries, and they unfortunately will not be going back for a chance to play one game. If they win, go to the Super Bowl. They won't make the playoffs. But our president went to the game and they interviewed him. I didn't see the interview. I heard it wasn't much. It wasn't what we're expecting. But I do want to talk about and wish, I believe it's the Marines, 250 years of service. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Marianne sent me that flyover, and she was so excited about it. And if you know Marianne, you gotta love her. Hi, Papa G. I think I already told you. Golden Arrow, have I said hi to you yet? Carrie, how about you? You're welcome, Carrie. I don't know what I did, and I have a feeling it wasn't me. Papa G's got a football up there. So here's something I wanted to read. Big N, Big G Global Reset Timeline. November 7, 2025, the HATS Big G protocol activates dismantling the fiat grid in controlled strike. The old system falls quietly as the new quantum economy prepares to emerge. November 10th, 2025, elite wealth reclamation begins. Frozen accounts and black budget gold reserves are seized and redirected into sovereign funds for the people. November 11, 2025, that's tomorrow, folks. Executive Order 77 enforces global assets seizures and tribunal actions. The financial war ends as the people regain control. November 12th, 2025, offshore trust in Switzerland and the Cayman Islands liquidate under military command, ending the Rothschild Soros networks. November 14th, 2025, gold reserves rise to validate QFA's transactions. Every move is backed by real assets, no more debt, no more fraud. November 15, 2025, the quantum financial system goes fully online. All legacy banks are disconnected. QFS takes control through an unbreakable quantum encryption. November 18, 2025, income tax abolished under the restored constitutional law. Freedom from debt slavery begins. November 20th, 2025, wealth transfer initiates. Recovered assets distributed to veterans, families, and debt holders via DNA verified quantum wallets. November 22nd, 2025, QSF redemption centers open. Citizens link their birth records to gold-backed standards. November 25th, 2025, suppressed healing technologies released worldwide. Special beds networks and QFS health nodes go live. November 30th, 2025, the first phase of the Great Transfer completes. Debt is erased. Humanity enters the age of sovereign wealth and freedom. December 1, 2025, fiat dollar officially expires. QFS bank currency becomes the only system recognized under Big N and Big G law. December 5, 2025, biometric quantum voting systems launch worldwide, restoring true democracy to the people. The old world is ending. The quantum age has begun. Humanity is free. Then they want you to join the Big G show Intel channel. That was a lot of information. And as I read it, I'm sure, without a doubt, there was people on here. Here we go again. And it's true. It's true. Here we go again. But remember what I tell everybody. Here we go again. But we only have to go once. We only have to go once. Lots of people are being arrested. I had someone ask me the other day, and it really helped me because I had just heard it on another show and had it verified. The 800 numbers will be coming out. I know a lot of people are saying that Mr. C is the one that will put the numbers in. I know a lot of people are saying Bruce from the Big Gull will be getting the 800 numbers to release. I really don't know. But, I was reading an article the other day and it said, fill out your form to get your 800 number. And I went right in there and I said, anybody who does this is a fool. They're trying to steal your information, which could lead to much, much more bad things happening to you. I said, you do not have to fill out a form to get the 800 number. I said, the 800 number will be provided. And then I went on to tell them, if you want to make sure you get the 800 number, go into the Big Call universe. Put your email in there and sign up for the newsletter. You will get the 800 number sent to you by Bruce. I said, you can go to Telegram and I give my site. You can join under there. And I will be posting it there as long as our site here on this page. I will be doing a video to announce the number. I will be putting it on my Facebook account, and I will be putting it on my TikTok account. So I told them, I said, it's going to be everywhere. But you want to go in and join. Do not give your information to someone. Now, another thing about this, you're going to, there's like 4 to 6 major groups that have the 800 number. They will call you also, or they will send you a message with an 800 number to call. You will call one of those 4 to 6 centers. You will get someone on the phone. They'll ask you your name and they'll ask you your birthday. When you give them that, they will ask you your zip code. You give them that, and they will get you booked in to the closest redemption center. If you have currency and you just want to go to a bank, any bank, once this is going, they will be certified. You can go. You will not get as much money as going to a redemption center. So the decision is yours. If you feel comfortable going down the street, going into your bank and telling them, here, I have 5 million of these, I have 3 million of these, and I have this. What will you give me? They will set a meeting for you right then and there. They will take you into an office where nobody can hear them talk, and they will give you. Now, maybe on the dong, you may get $3 to $4. Maybe on the dinar, you may get $5 to $6. Maybe on the Zim, you will not go to a regular bank because they will not take it. But if you have other, like Bolivar, you're going to get an amount. But if you have 5 million or 3 million or whatever, and you go to a redemption center, even without, look at what a redemption center does for you. A redemption center not only allows you to go in and get higher rates, because you always ask them when they give you a rate, you always ask them, is this the highest rate I can get? Is this the best rate possible? If they tell you yes, and you find out someone else get more, then that bank's going to be in trouble. They're not going to do anything because they want you getting as much money, because they make their money on a little percentage. You know, so you should want to go to redemption center. Plus, at the redemption centers, you're not going to have to worry about going back in again and setting up your, if you go to a regular bank, I don't think you're going to be able to have your Quantum Financial money set up, your QFS money. I don't believe you can at a regular bank, but if you go to a redemption center, it's going to be ready. And then after all of this is done, after we've all went through with our currency, then they're going to take the people, the normal people. But see, we're going to have to be the ones that's going to have to get to these normal people. And when you say it can't be done, you can't get to all of them. Don't tell me that. Because when I started this show, it'll be 6 years ago on March 5th of next year. When I started this show, I only sent it out to 12 people and asked them to send it to their people, have their people send it out. And within a month, I was having over 36,000 followers. So if we all just tell, hey, this is, we got our money. We can't tell you how much but what you have to do is when you get this number, you have to call it and you have to go in there. And this is what you need to take. And you tell them they need to take their to show that they are who they are. They need to have an ID, which your driver's license or your ID card. And then you need to have a bill showing your address. There might be something else, but before anybody goes, you're all going to know. And you know, someone might say, oh, well, we know all this. Then if you know it, that's good. Now you know it again. Well, we get one more person to come on here. We made 100 people tonight. So. I usually don't say the word Democrat, but this is something that has been out all over the internet today. Winning the Democratic filibuster has been broken. And CNN just admitted that the Democrats were responsible for the government shutdown. And now that they're responsible for it, now they're going out there And they're trying to make it look like we're the ones that were responsible. They played right into the hat's hand. You know, I mention on our shows a lot. They say how smart he is, how he can do this, how he can do that. And in this point, he's proving it. He wanted them to shut that government down. What did he get? Boom. He wanted to get some of these accounts opened up. And what happened? Boom. But you know, folks, I heard a very sad story over the weekend. A man that I think highly of, very, very highly of. I really like him as a person, but he is a devout, whatever you want to call it, Catholic. And this man went to Rome. He announced his basketball games for the Chicago Bulls. And he went to Rome, and someone had made a Chicago Bulls jersey with his number, which I don't even know Pope whatever. From what I found out from the Vatican, I don't really pay attention to popes. But anyway, he made that. And on the back of it, he said it had Pope Leo. And then the number, which whatever he is. And the guy was in tears when he was talking about it on the radio the other day. He got to meet the Pope, and I thought, you know, if he's in tears now, how do you think he's going to be when all this comes out, Russ? What do you think? Think he's going to be in a good mood, Janet or Bill? I think it's going to be. I think, guys, what we're really going to have to show compassion is to these Catholics, because they're going to be hurting really bad. I had someone look at me the other day and say, "You going to church today?" And I said, "No, I don't go to church anymore." "Well, what's wrong with you?" And I said, "Well, I have a great relationship with God and Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior." And I says, churches are nothing but places where they just want to steal money from you. You know, why does someone have to go to college? Answer me this question if you can. Why do you have to go to college to talk about God and Jesus Christ and the Bible? I wanted to be a minister at one time. Couldn't afford to go to college. But why do you have to? But then they'll let somebody go and take some little bitty frickin' open book test on the internet and say, "Oh, you can marry this person." They turned it into a game. They've turned our Christ, our God and Christ, into a game. And it's time it ends. It's time that we get to heaven on earth. I liked what I'm about to read to you now. I really like, and it's going to be the last thing we talk about. But you know, they say there's so much stuff in everything now. But did you know that drinking water from a copper cup helps kill bacteria, stimulates the brain, slows down aging, improves digestion, gets rid of anemia, boosts skin health, regulates the thyroid gland, soothes arthritis pain, and lowers risk of cancer and heart disease. I don't know about you, but I'm going to go out and get a couple copper cups. Matter of fact, I think I have some at home. Let's talk about where we're at real quick. And where we're at is an unbelievable spot. See, because I'm a firm believer that they cannot keep saying we're going to do this and we're going to do that. I'm a firm believer they can't keep doing that without eventually doing it. I know they say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting real thirsty and I'm ready to drink. And I think the world is getting that way. I've talked to people online recently that normally wouldn't have nothing to do with what we talk about. They didn't care anything about what we talk about. And now all of a sudden they're asking questions. You know, it's something that can make you feel really good. Why are we here? Why are we in a situation we're in, Janet? Ian? Gary? Why are we put in this position? It's simple. Because we're a generation of people. There may be some people on here that's in the generation below us. And to me, that's a generation where my kids are in. And I'm not real happy with it. But the fact still remains. We were chosen. Why are these kids here now? Because if you can get them away from the computers, if you can get them away from the cell phones and the TVs and the laptops, they're really good kids. They're not spoiled with having to have all the money in the world, but they're intrigued. I know my grandkids, they're intrigued at how much is Papa or Grandpa really going to get? What are we going to be able to do? I have a grandson that can't wait because he has allergies, and he's never been able to spend a night at his papa's house, aka me, because I have cats. And he's looking forward to getting on these beds so he doesn't have allergies, and he can spend not a night but a week. Guys, we're in the right place at the right time. We were chosen, and that's all I can say. We were chosen. And I want to thank every one of you guys for coming out, not only coming out, but staying here through all of the crap that I fed you tonight. And it wasn't crap. I really thought I went a little long on that story about the two guys at the party the other day. And I do apologize for that. But, you know, I'm human just like everybody else. And when something gets in me, I have to share it with people that I know care for me and get it out. And it really helped, because you could ask Ron if you're talking to him. This was still bothering me last night. I mean, this was Sunday night. It had been well over 30 hours since it happened, 40 hours in that. And it was still bothering me because, see, these two guys were two guys that I thought was really good friends of mine. It's amazing. As the world turns, you know, there was a soap opera for years. As the world turns. Another soap opera was One Life to Live. And the other one, I'll make sure that I take care of all my children. Guys, I just covered all the soaps. I used to work afternoons, so and midnight, so I got to watch them there for a while. But anyway, have a great night. Barring any major announcement, we will be back Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And hopefully it'll be a celebration call. But I'm looking more towards Friday night being a celebration call. So have a great night. Keep your vibrations up, and know Patriot 5 and Patriot 6 love yous all. Good night and God bless.